Welcome to the United States, the land of opportunity and empty airports. This is the new reality in 2025, as America struggles to attract travelers. The country once called the top travel destination is now losing visitors every month. Airplanes have empty seats, and hotel rooms stay dark with no guests. New York, the city that never sleeps, is now awake with worry and silence. Florida, once full of joy and sunshine, discounts tickets like a clearance sale. Las Vegas, where the house always wins, has lost badly in this tourism crisis. The tourism industry once produced endless cash but is now falling like a stone. Behind these numbers are millions of American families trying to pay daily bills. Today, let's explore 10 states where tourism is collapsing and jobs are disappearing. New York once meant Times Square lights and endless crowds of excited travelers. Now, the city has lost 17% of its international visitors in 1 year. Hotels in Midtown used to have long check-in lines filled with visitors from abroad. Today, hotel staff wait quietly for work while the lobby sits nearly empty. JFK and Newark airports were once busy. Now you can hear rolling suitcases echo. Broadway canceled shows because empty seats outnumbered the paying audience. Hotels near Times Square closed entire floors just to save electricity and costs. Strict visa rules and border controls discourage tourists from Europe and South America. They now prefer Canada, Mexico, or Asia where travel is cheaper and easier. When people think of New York, they picture paperwork instead of the Statue of Liberty. This loss affects not only luxury hotels but also taxi drivers and restaurant workers. New York is still awake, but it is awake with stress and anxiety. Florida. Imagine a Canadian father planning a family trip to Orlando for Disney World. He checks prices and finds the cost is almost 30% higher than last year. Flights, hotels, and meals quickly burn through savings, so he cancels the trip. Instead, he chooses Mexico, where costs are lower and paperwork is easier. This story is happening with hundreds of thousands of families across Canada. Florida, once a paradise, is now struggling to attract international travelers. Orlando's theme parks and Miami Beach once welcomed millions of visitors every year. Now, theme parks reduce hours, hotels run at half capacity, and restaurants discount meals. Canadians once made up 1/3 of Florida's foreign visitors but now avoid it. Extra border fees, new taxes, and long forms push them toward other destinations. Tourism makes up over 6% of Florida's economy, so the impact is huge. Waiters, Uber drivers, and small businesses all struggle without foreign customers. Florida now looks like a store trying to clear inventory with endless discounts. Even Mickey Mouse cannot escape the pressure of fewer international visitors. Las Vegas. Walk down the Las Vegas Strip and the neon lights are still shining brightly. Music still plays loudly, but blackjack tables and slot machines sit completely empty. International visitors to Las Vegas dropped by more than 13% this year. Big conferences that fuel the local economy are being canceled or moved elsewhere. Hotels that once stayed full now close entire floors to cut their expenses. The strong US dollar makes Vegas too expensive for European and Asian tourists. They choose Macau, Dubai, or Singapore instead, where travel is cheaper and easier. Without foreign tourists, hotel staff lose shifts and limo drivers wait without jobs. Street performers have no audience, and the entire city feels strangely quiet. Vegas used to be where the house always wins, but not anymore. The question is simple. Can shows and discounts bring people back to the Strip? Or has the glamour of Las Vegas been replaced by other cities around the world? Hawaii. A local tour guide in Honolulu says he once welcomed 3 Japanese groups weekly. Now, he sees one group every 3 months, a sign of falling demand. Hawaii, once a dream vacation, has become an empty paradise of blue seas. Waikiki Beach still has white sand, but benches and resorts now sit quiet. Japanese and Korean visitors once made up the majority of Hawaii's international tourists. In 2025, those numbers fell sharply due to rising prices and long travel. Airfare has skyrocketed, and Hawaii's costs are double the U.S. mainland average. For Japanese travelers, Bali or Phuket now feel cheaper and more convenient. Tourism makes up nearly 1/5 of Hawaii's economy, so the damage is severe. Hotel workers lose jobs, restaurants cut staff, and families lose income from tips. Some locals return to farming or fishing, but income is too low for survival. Hawaii is still paradise, but it is a paradise too costly to enjoy. Washington, D.C. Think about the Smithsonian museums once filled with students and international tourists. Today, you can walk the Air and Space Museum hearing only your footsteps. Washington, D.C. is also losing large groups of international visitors this year. Research teams, school tours, and foreign scholars from Europe and Asia are gone. Hotels near the National Mall stand half empty, while restaurants reduce their hours. The global economy plays a role, but politics also drives people away. Strict policies and an unfriendly image of the United States discourage travelers. What should be a cultural trip becomes stressful with forms, fees, and cold stares. Paris or Rome feel more relaxed and enjoyable compared to visiting Washington today. When tourists stop arriving, the entire chain of small businesses quickly suffers. Cafes, hotels, and conference centers all lose money as visitors disappear. Washington still has history, but sadly the audience has moved somewhere else. American history still lives inside the museums. The sad part is, fewer people want to visit and learn. That old saying is not a joke anymore. It shows the real problem in front of everyone clearly. A superpower can write history for the whole world. But it cannot force visitors to come and read those pages. So the big question is, can Washington, D.C. welcome tourists again? Or will it slowly turn into a museum of itself without visitors? And if the political heart of the country feels so cold, will Louisiana with its jazz and festivals be warm enough to keep tourists? Try walking on Bourbon Street in New Orleans on a weekend night. The saxophone still plays and the drums still beat without a crowd. But the audience is missing from the bars and clubs. The dance floor is emptier than a parking lot at midnight. This is not the New Orleans you used to know. The city of jazz and miracles now feels quiet and almost empty. The number of international visitors to Louisiana has dropped sharply. Mardi Gras still happens, but the crowds are much smaller now. Boutique hotels in the French Quarter now have empty rooms. Creole restaurants once packed now give all-day discounts to locals. Music tourism was once the soul of New Orleans. Today it is fighting hard to survive in a shrinking market. Some blame the global economy for this sudden fall. But the truth is harder and clearer than most people want. South American and European tourists choose cheaper destinations. Cuba, Mexico, and Portugal give food, music, and festivals at half price. Why pay thousands for Louisiana when Havana is much cheaper? Street musicians now play mostly for themselves without large crowds. Family restaurants serve a few locals instead of hundreds of tourists. Tourism makes up over 9% of Louisiana's whole economy. So when tourism slows, everyone suffers: chefs, drivers, and street artists. Music may be immortal, but rent bills and taxes are not. Jazz cannot replace the flow of international dollars anymore. New Orleans still plays music like it is the end of the world. But the audience has been leaving since the first note began. Can Louisiana survive only on its culture and deep traditions? Or will it need to drop prices to compete with rivals? And if even music cannot save Louisiana, what about Colorado's mountains? Imagine a ski trip to Aspen in Colorado. It was once the dream of rich Europeans and Asian snow lovers. Now a single-day lift ticket costs almost $300. That does not include hotels, meals, gear, and expensive airfare. How many tourists are willing to pay thousands just for snow? Colorado was once America's top ski paradise and winter dreamland. By 2025, international visitors have dropped heavily in Colorado resorts. Ski towns like Aspen and Vail are losing foreign languages daily. Now they feel more local and less international than before. Some people say inflation is the reason for this problem. But the real reason is comparison with other cheaper options. European families choose the Alps closer, cheaper, and visa-free. Asian tourists prefer Japan for the same snow at lower cost. Colorado is slowly being pushed off the world ski map. When tourists disappear, it is not just the resorts that suffer. Ski bars are empty and rental shops cut workers every week. Instructors now take second jobs as bartenders to survive. For mountain towns, winter tourism is the golden season of life. Without it, the whole year feels broken and incomplete. The mountains still stand tall and the snow still falls. But the tourist money is already gone and not returning. The Rocky Mountains will endure, but wallets are shrinking everywhere. So the question is, can Colorado survive on natural beauty? Or will cheaper Europe and Asia completely take the market? And if even a place with such beauty struggles for tourists, what will happen to historic and expensive cities like Boston? Boston is the birthplace of the American Revolution in history. It once showed the whole world what true freedom meant. Now it faces a new revolution: empty seats and missing visitors. The Freedom Trail, once full of tourists, is now quiet. Historic tours and Harvard classes see fewer foreign visitors each year. Boston is already expensive, with hotels and food costing more. A simple hotel room can cost $300. Even snacks are overpriced for tourists visiting the city. With difficult visa rules for students and researchers, many now choose London, Toronto, or Sydney instead. Boston loses not only tourists but also scholars who spend. Old bars and family restaurants lose steady customers every day. Souvenir shops now sell almost nothing compared to before. For a city that taught history, this is painful. Boston is where freedom began for America. Now freedom from tourists has become the new reality. The revolutionary spirit remains in the city. But if seats stay empty, will history stay alive? Or will it slowly fade into an echo of the past? California, the richest state in America, also suffers now. It is home to Hollywood, Silicon Valley, and world beaches. Yet it loses the most money from tourism decline today. San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge still shines beautifully. But fewer tourists take photos there compared to before. Los Angeles has lost Chinese visitors, the biggest spenders. Hollywood hotels now have empty rooms during summer months. The problem is not just inflation or high gas prices. California has a serious image problem seen worldwide. Homelessness fills the streets in many major cities. Crime is rising and safety feels weaker every year. Videos of tourists being robbed in San Francisco go viral. For many foreigners, this is enough to cancel California. And with a strong US dollar, the trip feels overpriced. This hurts not only five-star hotels and resorts. Uber drivers wait longer for rides on empty streets. Venice beach cafes sell fewer meals to tourists. Souvenir shops selling mini Oscars now struggle to survive. Every dollar not spent means a lost job. Tourism is a big part of California's economy. The decline pulls the plug on part of the engine. Hollywood still makes movies about the American dream. But the international audience no longer buys tickets. The dream remains, but the crowd has left. They prefer a cheaper show somewhere else. Michigan faces a very different problem. It never relied on global tourists like Hawaii or Florida. Its goldmine was Canadians crossing the border for shopping. Every weekend thousands came to Detroit for short trips. In 2025 those trips dropped by hundreds of thousands. Outlet stores are empty and border casinos shut machines. Even fairs in Grand Rapids lost their big crowds. Why did this happen to Michigan so suddenly? Not just the strong dollar but also new policies. Tariffs, taxes, and border checks made trips harder. For many Canadians it is easier to stay home. Michigan depended heavily on this weekend tourist flow. When it stopped, thousands of workers lost income quickly. Every trip that does not cross the bridge hurts. Michigan was once the gateway for Canadian tourism. Now the gate is open but wallets are closed. People debate the southern border wall every year. But in the north taxes have built a stronger wall. So the question is, how long can Michigan survive? Will border towns turn into empty ghost towns? 10 states showed 10 clear signs of a tourism crisis. The question is no longer will tourism fall. It already has, and the numbers prove it. The real question is if this is temporary. Will America recover its tourism glory again? Or is this the slow decline of a dream? What do you think is the biggest reason? Why are international tourists avoiding the United States? Can America recover, or is this the beginning of decline? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video useful, like and subscribe. Turn on notifications so you do not miss updates. This video is based on public reports and sources. It is commentary and analysis, not a personal attack. Viewers should treat it as reference and build opinions.